There's a moment usually in the quiet of your room, behind closed doors where you reach for that screen, not out of lust, but out of loneliness. It's not about pleasure anymore, it's about escape. Escape from a reality that feels heavy, from rejection, from silence, from a sense of not being seen, not being enough. No one talks about how so many young men are not addicted to porn or masturbation. They're addicted to feeling something in a world where they feel emotionally starved. You don't do it because you're weak. You do it because in that moment it gives you control. 5 minutes of feeling powerful in a life that feels powerless. But here's the truth most won't say. Every time you do it, a little part of your drive, your masculine edge dies. And you don't even notice it. You just start to feel tired all the time, unmotivated. You say, I'll stop tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. You say every guy does it, but you don't realize every guy isn't trying to be extraordinary. You are. You're not every guy. You're trying to become the man women want, the man you respect. And I'm telling you right now, with fire in my voice and love in my heart, if you knew what you were really losing every time you gave in, you'd stop today. You'd stop now because it's not just about what you're doing, it's about what you're killing inside of you every time you press play. You're not addicted to pleasure. You're addicted to numbness, and there's a difference, a huge one. You see, most people think when a man constantly turns to masturbation or porn, it's because he's overwhelmed with sexual energy, that he just can't help it, that he's a slave to desire. But that's not the full story. What you're really doing is running. You're running from emotions you've never been taught how to process. You're running from boredom that feels like a void. You're running from rejection, from a lack of intimacy, from dreams that scare you because you don't believe you're worthy of them. And when life hurts, even just a little, you do what's easiest. You open a tab, you scroll, you click. You escape, but the tragedy is, it doesn't even feel good anymore. You know it. You don't feel empowered afterward. You feel ashamed, tired, empty, and yet you do it again. Not because it brings you joy, but because it helps you forget. For 5 minutes, you're not thinking about your failures. For 5 minutes, you're not thinking about the girl who left your messages on read. You're not thinking about how far behind in life you feel. It's not pleasure you're after, it's silence. It's peace, but the cost of that silence is your self-respect. Every time you numb yourself with that screen, you teach your body that comfort is more important than purpose. That escape is more powerful than effort. And here's the deeper truth. They told you this was normal. Society fed you this lie. It's healthy. It's just biology. It's natural for a man. But tell me, does it feel healthy when you can't look people in the eye after doing it? Does it feel natural to crave images more than real touch? Does it feel empowering to know a piece of digital code has more control over you than your own discipline? You weren't born for this. You weren't built for bondage. You were built for greatness, but you can't chase greatness when you're chasing quick highs to hide your pain. This isn't about shaming you. It's about awakening you. Because until you see this clearly, you'll keep believing that you're just wired this way. But the truth is, your body is trying to cope with something your heart never got to heal from. That's where your power lies, not in fighting your biology, but in facing your emotional reality. Until you stop hiding behind the screen and start dealing with what's underneath it all, no amount of motivation, no app, no goal will stick. You are not weak for feeling this way, but you will stay weak if you don't confront it. Stop chasing numbness. Start chasing life. Every time you release, you're losing masculine fire. And I need you to really hear that, not just with your ears, but with your soul. Because most men don't understand what they're giving up when they trade a few seconds of release for the raw, electric power that lives inside them. You think it's just physical. You think you're just relieving pressure. But what you're actually doing is draining the very energy that fuels your confidence, your drive, your hunger, your ambition. That masculine edge that makes a man magnetic, dangerous, unforgettable. You're weakening it every time you trade it for a hollow orgasm. Now, I'm not here to preach abstinence like some outdated moral sermon. I'm here to open your eyes to what you were never told. Your sexual energy is the most sacred form of power you carry. It's not just about sex. It's about focus, about intensity, about the fire in your eyes when you walk into a room. When you waste it mindlessly, you start to notice you don't walk the same. You don't speak with certainty. You lose that spark, the one that made you a man of direction, a man who doesn't settle, a man who leads. Why? Because you've given away your vitality, and for what? A fantasy that disappears the second you finish. This is why you feel tired after. This is why your goals feel further away, because you're giving the world your leftovers after you've poured your core energy into pixels. You weren't built for that. You were built to create, to conquer, to command. And yet so many of you are stuck in cycles of silence and shame, wondering why your motivation dies halfway through the week, wondering why you don't feel like a man anymore, wondering why women aren't drawn to you the way they used to be. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you went a full week, just 1 week, without releasing? Without chasing porn, without numbing out, you'd notice something strange happen. Your voice gets deeper. Your back stands straighter, you feel bolder, even aggressive. That's your natural masculine rising. That's the energy of a man who is storing, not spilling, of a man who's holding his essence instead of wasting it. And no, this isn't magic, this is biology, this is ancient truth. Semen is not just fluid, it's life force. It's the same force that creates children, that fuels dreams, that sparks genius. Why are you throwing it away for a cheap moment when it could be shaping your destiny? So the next time you feel the urge, ask yourself, do I want this moment? Or do I want a legacy? Because men with masculine fire don't burn out in front of a screen. They burn through obstacles, they set their lives on fire, hold it, use it, guard it. Porn is rewiring your brain to reject real women. And I know that sounds extreme, but it's not just a theory. It's science, and it's happening to men all over the world, silently. Slowly, day by day, you start off thinking it's harmless, a little pleasure here and there, a release before bed. No big deal, right, but over time, something shifts. You no longer get excited by the touch of a real woman. You don't feel drawn to eye contact. You're numb when someone flirts with you. And when you do get close to someone, you struggle to connect. Your mind starts craving what the screen gave you, fast, extreme, unpredictable novelty. The kind of pleasure that real intimacy can never replicate. You've conditioned your brain to expect performance, not presence. You've trained your body to respond to fantasy, not feeling. And now, when a real woman looks at you, wants you, touches you, it doesn't hit the same. You get anxious instead of aroused, detached instead of drawn in. And that's terrifying because real relationships, real love, require vulnerability. They require patience, awkwardness, emotional risk. But you've trained your body to expect instant reward. You've trained your mind to skip foreplay and chase climax. You've taught yourself that a connection is only worth something if it's as intense as your last video. What happens next? You start thinking women are the problem. You say they're boring, that they don't do it for you. That dating is exhausting, but the truth is, your dopamine system is broken. Porn has hijacked your arousal template. You're no longer turned on by what's real because real takes effort, real takes heart, and when you've been numbing yourself for years, the real world starts to feel dull. But it's not the world that's dull, it's you that's disconnected. This is why you find yourself scrolling TikTok and Instagram for hours. Not for entertainment, but for stimulation. You're searching for a jolt, a spark, a high. But you're not finding it in real life. You're not finding it in your relationships. You're not finding it in yourself, because your mind has been wired to expect fireworks instead of warmth. And that rewiring is killing your ability to love, and the scariest part, the more you indulge in porn, the more emotionally avoidant you become. Because porn doesn't ask you to open your heart. It doesn't require you to give, to listen, to be present. It lets you take, always take, until you forget how to give anything at all. That's why this isn't just about lust. It's about your future, about your ability to form real love, real loyalty, real leadership. So, if you're wondering why intimacy feels foreign, why connection feels empty, look at the patterns you've been feeding. Look at what you've trained your mind to crave and ask yourself, is this the man I want to be? Because healing begins the moment you say, I want real, not fantasy. You can't chase purpose if you're a slave to pleasure. It's one or the other, and I know that stings a little, but you need to hear it. Because too many men are out here saying they want success, they want respect, they want love, they want to lead, but in the dark, when no one's watching, they're giving their energy to quick hits. Shallow highs and fleeting distractions, and it doesn't add up. You can't build an empire with a mind that's addicted to escape. You can't walk in purpose when your hands are tied to pleasure. Every time you chase that urge without thought, you are practicing the art of quitting. Yes, quitting. Because the moment something feels uncomfortable, you run. The moment boredom creeps in, you need a fix. The second life requires you to be still, focused, disciplined. You slip away. And purpose. Purpose is born in that stillness. In that grind, in those dull, uncomfortable, quiet moments when nobody's clapping and nobody's watching. But if you've trained your brain to only feel alive when pleasure hits, then you'll never survive the moments that actually build you. Let me be real with you. Discipline isn't glamorous, it's not sexy, it doesn't give you instant rewards. It doesn't spike your dopamine like porn does, but it makes you powerful. And right now, if you're honest, you're not chasing power. You're chasing comfort, and comfort is the graveyard of every man who once had a dream but never saw it through. The men who lead, the men who make women crave their presence, the men who change the direction of their lives and everyone around them, they've made a choice. They've chosen discomfort. They've chosen delayed gratification. They've chosen to master their urges instead of being mastered by them. And they didn't do it because they were born stronger than you. They did it because they woke up one day and realized that pleasure wasn't making them happy. It was making them hollow. Think about it. When's the last time you finished chasing that pleasure and felt proud of yourself? When's the last time you felt focused, alert, deeply grounded right after? You didn't, because it was never about joy. It was about avoidance, and avoidance kills purpose, slowly, quietly, until one day you look around and realize that years have gone by. And you've built nothing. You've touched nothing real. You've loved no one deeply. And worst of all, you don't even recognize the man in the mirror. So the next time that urge creeps in, stop and ask yourself, am I chasing escape or am I chasing meaning? Because you don't get both. Not at the same time. Not when you're still building. Choose one. Choose growth. Choose purpose. Choose the man you're trying to become. Semen retention is power no one taught you about. And that's not an exaggeration, it's a hidden truth. You were taught how to chase success. You were taught how to study, how to hustle, how to get money. But no one taught you how to hold your energy, how to protect the very force that makes you magnetic. That gives your words weight, that makes people stop and feel your presence before you even speak, and that force, whether you want to admit it or not, is rooted in your seed. Your sexual energy, you see, most men give it away like it's nothing, because society said it's normal, because the world told you it's healthy, so you grew up believing it didn't matter, that it was just a release. But deep down, didn't you feel it? Didn't you feel a shift after you let go? That drop in energy, that fog in your mind, that heavy silence that creeps in afterward, that's not your imagination. That's your life force leaving your body. That's potential slipping through your fingers. Semen is not just about reproduction, it's about creation. It's the raw, primal fuel that can birth children, but also birth ideas, build businesses, fuel ambition, sharpen focus, deepen your voice, and expand your influence. You think it's coincidence that monks, warriors, athletes, and ancient sages practiced retention. No, it's because they understood. They understood that holding in your seed multiplies your strength. It makes your thoughts clearer. It makes your eyes sharper. It gives your aura this unspoken power that you can't fake. Women feel it. Men respect it. The world responds to it. But you don't feel that because you've never held it long enough to experience the shift. You don't even know what it feels like to walk around fully charged. You've been living on 40% and calling it normal. But what would happen if you kept that power inside? What would happen if you transmuted that energy into your goals, into your workouts, into your voice, your leadership, your decisions? You'd stop feeling insecure. You'd stop needing validation. You'd stop craving the attention of women who don't even respect you, because your power would speak before you ever needed to prove anything. This is not about shame. This is about honor, honoring yourself, honoring your potential, honoring the version of you that's trying to emerge. The version that's been buried under years of drained energy, regret, and guilt. Semen retention is not just a habit. It's a gateway. It's a door to your higher self. And no, it's not easy. Yes, the urges will come. The temptations will whisper. But every day you hold that energy, you're saying to the world, I am not ruled by desire. I am driven by destiny, so try it. 7 days, then 14, then 30. Watch how your eyes change. Watch how your posture changes. Watch how women look at you differently. That's not magic. That's you, fully alive. The man who controls his desires controls his future. That's the line. That's the entire game of life. Because the truth is, every man has desires. Some loud, some quiet, some wild, some hidden. But very few men ever learn how to master them. Most men are mastered by them, controlled by the need for pleasure, comfort, approval, sex, escape. And that's the difference between boys and men. Boys chase what feels good now. Men chase what builds a future. What shapes legacy? What leaves impact? Look around you. The strongest men, the ones who command respect without saying a word, they aren't the ones always chasing women or stuck in lust. They're the ones who have trained themselves to wait, to pause, to redirect, because they know their energy is sacred. They know that discipline isn't about deprivation. It's about strategy. It's about saying, I could, but I choose not to. In that kind of power, self-governance is rare. It's what separates the weak from the unforgettable. And let me tell you something. A man who cannot say no to himself will always be someone else's pawn. He'll always be manipulated, used, played, because he has no filter, he has no inner compass, he just reacts. To urges, to pain, to temptation. But a man who's trained himself to sit with discomfort, to feel the fire and still walk forward, that man becomes untouchable. That man becomes respected, not just by others, but by himself. You think the urge to release is strong. Of course it is, but so is your mind, so is your purpose. And every time you overcome that urge, you are sharpening your will. You are reminding yourself that you are in control, not your hormones, not your cravings, not society, not the screen. You, because your future depends on it. You think this is just about quitting masturbation. No, it's about reprogramming who you are. About saying, I'm done living beneath my potential. Every time you say no to lust, you say yes to purpose. Every time you say no to distraction, you say yes to focus. You are literally rewiring your identity, rebuilding your brain for leadership, for love, for power. You want a better life, then build the man who can handle it. The man who doesn't need to escape from pressure but thrives under it. The man who doesn't bow to every desire but disciplines himself to stand tall in storms. That's the man who gets what he wants. That's the man who inspires others. That's the man who wins. So from today, start training. Train yourself to pause. To wait, to hold. Every time you want to click, stop and breathe. Remind yourself, if I can master this, I can master anything. Because if you can conquer yourself, you've already conquered the hardest battle. Be that man, and now, here's your final truth, the only one that matters. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be consistent. Start now. So here you are, still listening, still with me, and that tells me something powerful about you. You're not numb. Not fully. There's still a part of you fighting, a part of you that wants more. That part of you that feels shame after releasing, that part is sacred. That's your spirit trying to wake you up, telling you that you were made for something greater than 5 minutes of pleasure followed by hours of guilt. That's your soul calling you home. Let me be clear, this isn't about being perfect. You will fall, you will stumble. But the real question is, will you get back up and fight again? Will you protect your masculine fire? Will you stop treating your energy like it's worthless and start honoring it like it's divine, because it is? Your seed is life, your energy is power, your self-control is your path to peace, and I want you to do something with me right now. Breathe in, deep, now hold it. That right there is proof that you can pause, that you can take control, that you can break the pattern. You are not your past, you are not your addiction, you are not your urges. You are a man becoming. So if this message woke something up in you, don't let it fade. Like this video. Drop a comment. I choose discipline over distraction. Share it with a brother who needs to hear this. And subscribe, because on this channel, we don't escape life, we take it back. You're not alone in this journey. But it starts with one moment, one choice, one promise to yourself. I will no longer live below the man I was born to be. And if you feel that deep in your chest, then you've already begun.